get my phone set up. Oh, right. I have this, sorry for the shaking. I have this really cute phone stand that I got, which has space on it. You know how I love space. But my phone also has a pop socket on it, so I don't know if it will work. I'm covering the camera, sorry about that. Alright. It has a little stand thing. Right, I think we fold the stand the other way. Also, it has kind of my phone has kind of a thick case. Thick. So I'm not sure if this will work. Fortunately, we fold it back the other way. Also, hi Winter. Good to see you here. Okay, now we're just gonna move the phone to the back of the desk. So there's so much ceiling above me. Hi Gabby, I'm glad you can catch me live too. I've been curious to see what my own streaming community will look like. Okay, good, that's a much better angle. I sat down like 2 minutes ago, so that's why I haven't set things up. Here are the goats, obviously. We were promised goats, so. I assume you can hear me because people have been responding. Here's my coffee. Ooh, the Lost Souls shawl, that's cool. As you know, I just finished one. Well, Lost Souls veil. Yeah, it's a really cool pattern. Oh right, I was also gonna light some incense because it can get a bit stuffy in here. Yeah, I love that shawl too. I'm gonna sneeze. Okay. One thing is there's a lot of cat hair and I'm mildly allergic to cats, so. Speaking of space, I got these matchsticks. I think they're like incense matchsticks. It says the John Darien Company, but from our local the witchy shop. And I don't have any other lighters at the moment, so it's nice to have something really cool to light my incense with using sandalwood yard. Sandal rose. I was reading Winter's Comment and I was like, sandal yard, wait, no. How much yardage did you use? I don't know, but I used an entire an entire cake of the Hobie Dahlia Freaky Nightmare, I think. It's one of the Halloween ones with like the black, purple, pink, and then yellow in the center. So however much that is, I used the whole thing. I also got my first actual incense holder from the same place. It's amazing having a witchy shop in walking distance. They're 800 meters each. Oh, okay. Wow, so 1,600 meters will be large, but also the thing is I was doing I wasn't doing a triangle. It was like, yeah, they're really useful. The incense holders, I used to just put them down like this in my large silver cauldron that I got from, by large I mean like a foot across, that I got from a thrift store randomly. Sandal rose. Currently my favorite scent. The other one I'm trying out is myrrh, and that's great, but it's very strong. I don't know if I want to just stand there, like breathing it in. It'd be more of a like, I have a certain, like, I don't know, hardcore spiritual meaning that I'm burning this incense for. So, but this one is nice for just the ambiance. But yeah, the thing is with the shawl, if it's a triangle and it goes way out like that, where you can't see me. YouTube apparently doesn't let you go live with your phone sideways, which is how I usually film. I could go live with my laptop, but my camera is horrible. So, but yeah, it might not look as wide or look as big, even if you're using more yardage, because it's more of a it's not like a long thin area. It's more of just a triangle, I guess, depending on what shape you're doing. But it would be interesting to see how large it is. I love large shawls, like large lace shawls, or just. Okay, yeah, I think this is how it goes. This is how it goes. Oh, speaking of, yeah, I'm going for the triangle shape. Yeah. I am almost certain that we're gonna just use the name goats as a collective, because I love that. Actually, I'm gonna move them out of the way while I light the incense. Like that way I or even y'all could like come up with adjectives if you feel like it. Like right now I feel like it's short for spooky sparkle goats, but that could change, and it's nice that we have the flexibility. Yes, fire. The challenge with incense is that like you can't have it burning like a match. You got to have it just smoldering, but if you blow too hard, it goes out. And mine, I thought it went out, but now it's like just barely smoldering. And I can't reuse this match apparently. Okay. Okay, good. I was kind of practicing how I wanted to blow out the incense, but not completely, by blowing out the match, which I did blow out completely. The last thing I have to do is open my sparkling water, the Trader Joe's raspberry lime. So I'm using my one of my huge packages of bamboo ice yarn, and let me just move this so it's not in our face. Okay. And I just suddenly felt like making socks with, and the only crochet sock pattern I know is the one by Alt Knots, and of course I'm going to use theirs because I'm a big fan. And so now I'm actually on the part where you just make the foot, and it's just yards and yards of single crochet in the round. So I thought, well, for one thing, having something else to do during this will help, because this is really boring. And also, it's nice to have something boring to do while I'm live streaming. Never used ice yarn. Is it worth the shipping cost to the US? I can't remember for sure what the shipping was, but I do remember that I got a lot at that time, at one time, because it was Hi, BV Armstrong. I know you. I also know your name in person, and I'm not sure that I'm I didn't know if you wanted me to say it on stream, but hi, it's that body doubling. You you mean like when you're just doing something but someone else is there also working, and it helps to like, because yeah, it yeah, yeah, it that probably counts as that, and that is something that I often find helpful, which I think I've heard is very common for neurodivergent folks, which I am. And yes, BB Armstrong is is I stutter sometimes, but that's my friend Vivian. So hi. Yeah, Winter. It is a very helpful thing to just have someone else there while you're working. I think that's why I used to love going to just hanging out in coffee shops back when that felt safe. Because I would just have people there and didn't feel like I was just working, but all sad and sad and alone. Oh, speaking of coffee, I have this winter spice blend that I decided to try when I saw it yesterday at Trader Joe's, and it's very it, it's it's good, kind of strange. I'm trying to figure out if I like it or not. I don't think it's pairing very well with my caramel creamer, but that's the only creamer I have right now. But it tastes almost like the smell of potpourri, like that very Christmas smell with like the oranges with the cloves stuck in them and stuff. And I have my mermaid mug from Cracker Barrel, which I'm still amazed that they had all this mermaid stuff a couple of summers ago. Like, Cracker Barrel, okay, but I I definitely got some, and since it's nice to have something from that store, which is like a kind of a family store for me. Oh, cool. Winter Spice TJ coffee is one of my very favorites. Well, it's really cool that I find myself drinking something that is also loved by um, a physically distant friend, because um, sadly we live in different parts of the country. But yeah, um, but yeah, it was nice to have something from Cracker Barrel that was also something that I would get just because I like it, that kind of fits me as, and wasn't just because it's from that store. But sadly, we we don't have them in California. Most of my family's from like Ken, Kentucky and stuff, but they they have not made it out. Cracker Barrel has not made the trek quite this far west. So yeah, I'd love to know what anyone else is working on. I know Winter's working on the Lost Souls shawl. It doesn't have to be crochet. Just like anything you happen to be doing, or if you're just chilling, if you're drinking coffee. Like, yeah, it is kind of it is a bit early to be working, I guess, if you're not a YouTuber doing a live stream, which not that this feels like work, but you know, there's a certain amount of the preparation. I have to run around getting all of my stuff. It's like, okay, I have to grab the incense, the goats, the yarn. I I I kind of love that as a like a joke about what my shopping list would look like. Okay, I have to grab incense, goats, yarn. I, ooh, I'm crocheting the um the bougainville top from Nomad Stitches. Might have chosen the wrong size, but too late to frog. Yeah, well, I hope that it works out. I'm not sure if I said that right. Bougainville. I'm chatting with Izzy and taking a rest between cleaning sprees. Nice. Tell him hi from me. Also, yay, cleaning. I took out the trash this morning, and every time I do anything that's cleaning in this house, I'm like, yeah, it's not the most fun, but I'm just so happy I get to clean up and it makes a difference, and other people also clean up. I grew up in a hoarder house, sadly, so finally just moved out of that place. Had to move back in with my parents for reasons a couple years ago, but it's so nice being here. I think that I may have not curved the heel enough because when I was looking at, oh yeah, yeah, I totally get that when you're just like, you're kind of like, well, at least I was like, well, I have to clean to some extent, otherwise I'll go crazy. And I don't use that term um, lightly, but also it's pointless because it'll just roll back in 5 minutes. So, but yeah, so I was following the YouTube tutorial of this, which is alt knot sock pattern, and they had me adding 10 less stitches around the heel than it would have taken me to put one in each row on the side. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just add the 10 extra and see how that goes. But I suspect that maybe I was supposed to skip a few of the rows and just like add them evenly so that it would be a kind of a curved heel. I'll try that next, not next sock because this is the first one of a pair, but next pair. I've never really been into making socks before, but I did live in Southern California, so now I'm like, well, in Northern California, I actually find myself wearing socks around the house. And I did buy those ones I showed last time, the space socks. I'm actually wearing them. I'm just gonna take one off because I feel weird about putting my foot up. But yeah, these. But though the weird thing is they're a little bit too big. Like most socks are small for me, so I got the large size. And when I look at them next to my foot, the toe and heel match up, but then they kind of stretch, and they end up being too big because of the give. So it's not a huge problem, and I'm like, well, I got 5 socks that I love the pattern of. I'm going to wear them, and I don't know if like, and they're not at all too big this way, just like lengthwise. So I don't know if they would be smaller in the width if I went down a size, but so. Oh, cool. You made yourself a pair of socks with 5 or 6 yarn. Yeah, that's more the bulky yarn, right? I only know that from following Pink Sheep design, because I don't work with bulky yarn as much, but she does. But yeah, so I'm mostly just keep line up the heel with my heel and let the toe just kind of do its thing. It doesn't flop off too much, but like I don't mind having a few wrinkles along the foot, or the toe a bit long. I do have very long toes, so it's nice to not have to fight with the seam of the sock. But also, it's I'm really not into knitting. I can, but yeah, I don't like sock seams either. Um, I can knit, but I just don't. It's not really my thing. So now that I have a crochet sock pattern, I'm like, well, that's fun. I may as well try it. I mean, I have it as in I know it's out there. For my stitch marker, I'm using this really cool moon themed one that came with one of the bags I got from Etsy. Yeah, I have a whole set of DPN too, because I promised a friend I was going to finish a scarf that they can't wear because their skin started reacting to the acrylic yarn. So and the same goes for clothes. So they have to make sure that they're only wearing like the natural fibers. So I took a whole bunch of yarn off of their hands, and I was like, hey, I could totally finish this scarf. But it's been a year since I said I would do that, and I like knitted one row, and the pattern is fun. It's kind of a lace pattern, but I just don't want to knit. Plus, I think bamboo feels weird to me, like it kind of squeaks, and maybe if I got different needles. I'm looking forward to some of the Black Friday. Yeah, can only knit with the metal needles. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Black Friday yarn that I got. Like, I got some from Boss Kitty, and actually, I think that might be the only yarn. Oh, yeah. Then I also got, this wasn't on Black Friday, but I got some Premier yarn, quite a lot of it, because I'm making myself another double width graph can. I mean, this one's going to be double width because most of my pixel arts are like long but not very wide, just because of the way I tend to make the canvas. So this one will be more of a blanket, and I'm also making a graph can for a friend who commissioned me to make one of the ones that I happen to have drawn of a goddess that they follow. So it's always cool when I can take part in like helping people with to um um on the on the the devotional stuff. And let's see, I missed a comment. A friend of mine keeps telling me I need to learn more knitting skills. I'm just like, man, let me crochet more shawls. Yeah, like knitting is fine, but there are lots of people who love doing it and who are super into it. Like I love watching knitting podcasts because I can tell like they are just so into this craft, and I'm not, and that's fine. I also love watching um, floss tube, which is flosses in cross stitch and embroidery, and like I just barely know the jargon and technical terms, but it's so fun to watch these people who are super into this thing and who know all of the terms, just like talking at an in depth level. And I don't often have I don't often hear about a craft that I don't also feel like, man, I need to just go and do that. Why am I not getting started? But I did feel that way about 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 embroidery at one point, but now that I've learned that I can kind of draw with yarn, then I feel at peace with the fact that other people love floss, and I'm just gonna watch them do their thing. Not to say that I couldn't pick it up, but I'm kind of focused on crochet and other stuff. Embroidery is fun, but TBH, the floss is too much to deal with sometimes. Yeah, that's what I've gathered. Even like when I work with it, sometimes I add some into my crochet projects, and like it doesn't go as far as yarn because they're not expecting you to crochet with it, but it's fun just for an extra gleam. But yeah, I have a friend who recently got into cross stitch, and it's it's so funny and cute to see how they're so excited that they can buy one cross stitch project and get 200 hours of fun out of it. They're like, yeah, this will last me all year. And Whereas I mostly hear people talking about, oh, I want this project to be be done now. I don't know if that's just my friend or like most cross stitchers, but it's fun to talk about our different crafts with him. So at first it didn't occur to me that my pixel art could also be color work, and so I was selling it on Etsy as cross stitch patterns, but I felt like, well, I don't know hardly any of the cross stitch community, and I don't cross stitch myself, so I like my friends who do have told me that the patterns work, so that that should be fine, but like yeah, um so I'm happy to keep the listings up for people that want to do them as cross stitch, but honestly it's the same chart for both. I just happen to have more tips about color work in one version, and I have a the DMC floss chart in the other version. So but it once I realized, oh, I can make these as color work in yarn, then it felt like I can actually speak this the language. You have a big Pokemon cross stitch piece that if you were to work regularly on it, it would take a few months, but you haven't touched it in at least 4 months. Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. Did a similar thing for your cross stitch patterns. Cool. Or for your patterns. Every few years I get into embroidery, get irritated at French knots a few weeks later and put it down for a few more years. Yeah, that's I've heard a lot about French knots. As a kid, there was one book I read about this girl that well, a lot of stuff happened, but one of the things was that she decided to make something for her grandma, and it was a labor of love because it was all French knots, and she hated them. Took you a while to master French knots, but now that you have it, you love them. Cool. Yeah, a lot of things are like that. Like I think I've finally gotten the magic circle, and it's very useful now that I have it, but if you don't know a skill, it's like it doesn't really do you much good. Or like if something's hard to learn, then I think that counteracts the usefulness of it, at least right then. But the thing that I realized I was having trouble with for the magic circle was that I'm used to always making this slip knot with the pulling end going toward the skein. So I pull this skein side and tighten it, but for the magic circle you have to make the loose end the end of the yarn so that you can tighten it, because otherwise you can't. So once I figured that out, then it finally kind of clicked. And yeah, Viv, it's easy to get ambitious about how much of something you want to do. Actually, I often have Gwen, my the patron god, um, advising me on that. Like I'll be like, and I want to do 10 of these now, and he's like, maybe let's just try 2 of them, and then we'll see how you you feel. And I'm like, okay, fine. But then he's often right. So always the skein of yarn to your right for magic rings. Okay. I can't really picture that, but I'm sure that would be useful if I saw it being done. But thanks for the tip, though. Just realizing you can't see the goats. Evie, what I hate is the combination of French knots with other stitches, like the very fancy ones used in embroidery. Cannot deal with that. Yeah, I've actually done more freehand embroidery than I have cross stitching. Tried to find the sheep pattern I was working on during my last embroidery run. Ran into this instead, and now I want the embroidery again. By this, do you mean the live stream or just FYI, I don't think YouTube lets you post pictures or links in the chat, so you might have to just describe it or like tell us the website. Oh, posted a link, right? Yeah. Like it, once I find that I need mods, then the mods will be able to post links, but for right now, I'm just like, I'm still learning how to live stream. We can deal with mods later. But right, I'm planning to, it's gay French knot sheep that says be you. I love that. Before I was into goats, I was like super into sheep to the point where my family would get me sheep themed gifts, and I still love sheep, but like goats became part of my brand kind of by accident, but I love it. I'll have to introduce my stuffed sheep that started the sheep craze. The sheep fandom sometime, but I forget what I was going to say. Oh. Right, I will be live streaming most Sundays at this time. There is one Sunday per month when I'm doing a different thing at this time, and it's the second Sunday usually, I think. So I'll make a post in my community tab, which I have now. I have wanted one ever since I started my other channel, but I don't think that one has enough subscribers yet. But somehow this one does. I mean this one has a lot more, but like it just kind of woke up one day, and I think you just told me, hey, you have this tab now, so it's very useful for telling people about like the live stream schedule and stuff. So, but then also next month I'll be starting Thursday night streams. I think it was at 5 p.m. my time, which is Pacific, so it actually is the same time that Altnuts does their streams, but on a different day. So I figured, well, I'm used to getting stuff ready for a live stream at that time of day. So I may as well like keep it there. Need to bounce. Have a good day, Thorn. Nice to meet you, Winter. Hope you also have a good day. Yeah, thanks for being here, Viv. Have a good day. Enjoy cleaning the house. Vivian is one of my pagan friends on like in the pagan the discords and things that I'm on. So it's nice to have that world and the crochet YouTube world kind of the overlap, because they're both full of great people. So very happy that all of y'all are here. Yeah, it is awesome. I I have a long foot, so this is we're gonna be here a while. It's a hat. Still haven't managed to find a community like that for myself. Yeah, it definitely takes a while. Still very much a beginner. You feel like, for what it's worth, I felt like that for a long time. Just not really having a good community and being new to the pagan stuff. Have to take a break. It will be a sock eventually, but right now it's a goat hat. And if I make a second one, then I have two goats, so I can make a pair of goat hats. It does make me want to make a goat hat, though. I do have this Instagram reel that I have posted a couple of times. They're temporary sock holders, yes, where I would love to remake different versions of it, but my goat shows up in the reel like, goats can't crochet, but goats like crochet. They think it is fancy fur, and then I have him like wear with one of my projects draped around him. I'm like, yes, fancy fur. So I think the goats are happy that other people that call themselves goats are actually making fancy fur, even though these goats can't because hoops. Oh, good. I'm glad that you remember that. I feel like I need to start making reels again, but I've been adjusting to having moved, so trying not to worry too much about it, especially since I am doing a different really big thing to like engage with my audience, which is starting a live schedule. So for some reason, like, the 3-minute long videos feel so much harder than doing a longer video or like a live, even though it only takes me like 15 minutes to do one. I'm like, but yeah, Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm also like the the lives, both mine and other people. It's the neurodivergent urge to expend. That's why. Yeah, yeah. Like larger projects are. I guess they have a greater economy of like scale because you get a lot more content out of them, and you're able to express a, a lot more thoughts. Whereas with a reel, I have to think of a fun joke or just like something that would be good for like a, a very short time. So that's often why I have the goats, because goats are just fun. Well, we are almost done with this game, though there's a lot more in this than it looks like, probably because it's fingering weight, I think. Oh, it says fine. I think fine is like a synonym. Teeny tiny ball of yarn, yes. I think fine is a synonym for fingering, but I don't know. Anyway, it's the small yarn. And interestingly, small yarns go way further. Oh, you know what that makes me think of? One of my other special interests. Oh, yeah. Tell us about the future project that you're debating on. And yeah, that just made me think of one of my other special interests, which is the life cycles of stars, because massive stars have a lot more fuel, and you would think they would last a long time, but they go through it really fast, and they have a relatively short lifespan. Like it's still a long time for humans, but um, that's actually good for us because then they create all of the heavy elements that that are needed for planets and like life and stuff. And you don't have to wait a super long time for them to make them, but lower mass stars just sit there for billions of years, and our our sun is in the middle, so like there's like not don't worry, we have a long time with our sun, but the lower mass stars, the red dwarf stars, I I think their projected lifespan is longer than the current age of the universe. So I don't know if we've ever actually seen one die. So like there's just these masses of tiny red stars just that that are almost immortal. So yeah, that's cool. Yes, they you're right. The massive stars burn quickly. So yeah, that's not only do I love the look of space, I also love learning about it. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm happy to talk to you about space anytime. Inner debate is next Lost Souls. We'll be using gradient red black yarn with white black yarn, but you're really scared you're gonna stain it. Yeah, I have at least one shawl, actually in a different skull pattern, using some white yarn. I don't think I've stained it, and I've had it like a few years, and like I don't keep it up on a shelf or anything. I use it often, but I mean, obviously I'm not you, so like do do what you're comfortable with. But if that helps. Oh yeah, that is hard then. Of course, one interesting one thing to note is that I think mine is acrylic, so it's pretty easy to wash. Almost tempted to use gray, however, it's for Baba Yaga, and I'm not sure I should. That's another good factor to think about, because like if it's for a deity or spirit who wants a certain thing, like of course some, you know, I have heard people talk about, you know, you sometimes you have to kind of um um, negotiate about like, okay, you want this, but I'm not sure I can get that because of the laws in my area, or like it's just not practical. So like, is there something else that I can do? So yeah, I think I heard about one person that wanted like a spirit wanted some crane bones or something, and the person was like, I can't get you those because of the um the 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 Migratory Bird Act. And it took the spirit a while to um, understand this, but I think it worked out. Ooh, yeah. Um, really likes sacrifice and things that are hard to obtain. It's kind of her thing. You went through a lot of that effort for me, so I like you. Yeah, that definitely like I think in general that's like a really nice thing to do for people like that, like you went to extra effort, but I definitely feel like that there are probably certain deities or spirits that that are particularly into that. Like it feels like Gwen is also that way. If he often asks me for something that's hard to get or do, or just takes some effort, um or like the he sometimes it seems like he most values being given the thing that I like most. So, but yeah, I like learning more about Baba Yaga. So, I, um, es- especially from the point of view of someone who is interacting with her as a conscious being, like in a pagan sense. So, yeah, thanks for sharing. It's awesome hearing about the similarities between those two deities. Yeah, I love hearing about that too. Like anyone who obviously isn't quite the same, but like has a lot has something in common with Gwen. Like, oh, cool. So someone else gets it. Well, we are almost at an hour, so I think I'll probably just finish up this round, because between the incense and the cat hair and stuff, my voice is getting a bit hoarse. But it has been really fun being here, and if anyone has any final thoughts they want to share, or plans that you have, go ahead and pop those in the chat. Oh, good. I'm glad that you had fun, and thank you for being like the MVP of the chat right now, because I'm sure that it and no worries if people don't feel like chatting. That's fine. It's just really helpful to have someone that does want to chat, because that gives me something to play off of, and I'm sure it will like get more busy as I'm sure that the chat will like get more active. Yes, my plan: crochet all day or until the end of time. Good plan. No, you didn't. I'm just very happy that someone is talking, because it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to think of things to say, because I want to make this fun, but it's, if I'm like thinking about being on camera and also crocheting, and also like, what fun thing do I say, like to kind of give a conversational vibe, it can be a lot. So I enjoy your lives because it's awesome to crochet and talk about witchy things to someone who understands. Yes, I am glad to hear that, because like I love I love other people's lives, but I don't want to talk too much about my witchy pagan things, because I don't know if they want to go into that. So I try not to like overdo it. But with my lives, like, yes, please talk about witchy pagan um, um, spiritual stuff, and also yarn. Oh, right. I'm currently playing a game on my phone that is by Goat Games, and it's really funny to think of goats making this game, because they are. This game is Bloodline Heroes of Letha, so it's like a fantasy RPG dating sim, oddly. It's kind of all those things. Like, wow, I didn't know goats were so into this. But my brother pointed out, well, I'm starting to think that we would find goats everywhere. I think they're right. Oh, I used to play similar games. Oh, and I'm glad that it's a calm ambiance. Sometimes I worry about like, but I'm not super energetic like some people are, but then I'm like, no, I can't be anything other than me, and that's fine. The thing that makes other people that I'm thinking of so engaging is that those people are fully themselves, and so that's what I want to be too. Usually a lurker in lives, but still enjoy them very much. You are so positive and accepting. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's a very strong value of mine to be accepting of, you know, especially of people that of like things that are like would probably be seen as weird, but aren't actually hurting anyone. Like, yeah, because I realize people may not have that in their, not this kind of life, but like their lives out there. So Anyway, I think I think it's time to goat, as it were. Thank you so much for being here. Have a goatful day. Bye. Yes, it's time to goat. Bye.